Hello and welcome back to Devolution's Devlog channel, and I'm here with one of the most talked about bands in recent years. This is Jacob. He's from Tortured Demon. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well, thanks, pal. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, you and I have something in common. I wanted to get this out first off. I put out my first record when I was 17.
Yeah.
Back in 1995, because I'm really old. You put out your first record around about the same time, didn't you?
Yeah, I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously looking back, your own worst critic. So I'm not the biggest fan of the material, but, there's a few tunes which I look back and I'm like, yeah, for a 14-year-old, that's pretty decent,
Mate, absolutely. So did you have the same thing I had, where my mum had to sign my first record contract for me because I was under 18?
No. Actually, I think we did have to have. We signed something. I remember when we signed our licensing deal with Spiritual Beast, or distribution deal. Sorry, I should say, with Spiritual Beast over for the Asia territories.
Yeah.
I think she had to do some sort of dotted line was involved for a parental guardian.
Yeah. I mean, it just takes me back because my first bands, I was 14, 15, and playing pubs. And we had to ring ahead for special permission to play and that sort of stuff, all that business. Yeah. But there's been a lot made about your age. But people forget that Metallica's first stuff, they weren't far off.
No.
If
you look back on the back of Kill 'Em All, they literally look like kids.
Yeah.
Proper spotty teenagers,
But your guitar playing's really sophisticated.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, I was listening to some of your tracks today, and your music's been described as a mixture of thrash and hardcore. I can definitely see where that comes from. Is that on purpose, or is that just something that's evolved?
Yeah. I mean, me and Joe, who's my brother, we have sort of different influences. I'm into my 90s thrash, obviously Sepultura, and he likes a bit of metalcore, sort of Killswitch stuff, that early sort of metalcore that was coming out of, that sort of era. But also, I've been always into hardcore punk, and from bands Bad Brains to you sort of naturally gravitate towards bands like Terror.
Yeah.
And Power Trip, bands like that, they were on the top of the game when I first started, starting the band and that.
Yeah.
So it just sort of evolved into what it is now through, different tastes and stuff.
Absolutely. And one thing I've noticed about your tracks, especially your last video, was on the choruses, the guitars go melodic, but you're keeping the hardcore bark on the vocals, which is really nice. Because
thanks, man.
In this day and age, when you've got a lot of metalcore bands that sound very similar, and you're not a metalcore band, I regard you as a thrash band.
Thank you.
But albeit one with hardcore edges.
Yeah.
The temptation would be to do the clean vocal on the chorus, but it's nice that the guitars go melodic.
Yeah, man. That's Children of Bodom coming in a bit there.
Nice.
Stuff like that. And obviously that early sort of metalcore, because metalcore for me, it isn't all synthesizers and you want to start a fucking and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? It's early Killswitch.
Definitely.
Bands like that are literally the definition of heavy metal and punk.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first came across the term metalcore, it was Cro-Mags and Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah.
And that really was hardcore and metal together.
Yeah.
And this has come up in many of my interviews, and everyone's going to think I've got a problem with metalcore. I ain't got a problem with metalcore. No. But it does seem that everything's called metalcore these days.
Yeah. It's a very broad spectrum. Even hardcore, back in the day, hardcore was Bad Brains and Black Flag, and now it's all sorts of different
absolutely
stuff, all sorts of modernized twists and turns of hardcore, and it's great. I do like that sort of aspect of it.
Absolutely. You mentioned Black Flag there. I remember my first tour where back in 1994, 95, I took Black Flag to get in the van with me.
Nice.
That book, and that got me through my first tours. What got you through your first tour? When you realised it wasn't all glamorous?
Probably, I don't know, to be honest. I don't think I did get through it very well. I think I just said, yeah, this is what it's really like.
Yeah, man.
Fucking get on with it, deal with it, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously the odd tinny that always helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. I mean, you sort of have expectations of it being very rock and roll, you know, because when you get into music, you don't really know what it's about. It's that's the how you perceive it, I suppose. You know, play shows every night, full of life, full of energy, like. I just want to go to bed right now, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to get a chicken tikka masala, see my girlfriend, and put a film on. But also, I keep remembering that I have got a show to do, and that is just like the best part. It makes everything, the long drives worth it. The no sleep, it makes it worth it. In my eyes, you know?
I mean, I definitely think like it's a great feeling waking up on a gig day and go, oh, gig tonight, and then doing that repeatedly kind of makes up for the long travels, the airports, the whatever, you know, all that stuff.
That's it, mate. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. So lyrically, is there like a through line with your stuff? Is there what's inspiring you lyrically?
Definitely sort of personal issues that I've been through in my life. I mean, I sort of like I enjoy concept albums, you know, so I take a lot of inspiration from that, you know. And Joe also writes lyrics too, our drummer. He's a bit of a Charlie Benante of the band, if you know what I mean.
Right, gotcha.
But for me, I like the lyrics to be perceived. Sorry, how the listener takes it in. If you know what I mean. Like for me, I know what all the words mean for me, and in my eyes, it should be like that for the listener. You know, if you can translate it to your own life, then that is like the biggest compliment as a writer. And like, you know, I'm sure Joe would agree, you know, because he writes a lot of the stuff too, you know, like it's definitely, that's the biggest thing to get from it in my eyes, you know.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier Sepultura, and obviously you're in the band with your brother.
Yeah.
Much like Max and Igor.
Yeah.
Do you find that's helpful?
Yeah. It's definitely an inspiration. I mean, obviously, you know, Pantera, brothers.
True.
You know, they're like, I think every like 13-year-old that's first getting into metal loves Pantera. All them albums, you know, I still do love them musically. They're really, really good. And obviously Sepultura and seeing, oh, there's people that do this with the family as well, you know.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And
it seems like they divvy it up when they're kids, like who's going to play guitar, who's going to play drums. You know?
Yeah, literally that's what it was like in our house.
Yeah.
There's a bit of fighting for which one, but you know, we fell into the right slot eventually. I think because I was just a terrible drummer.
I feel you, man. Yeah, I'm a terrible drummer myself. Yeah, so it's been a couple of years since the last record, last album. So is there a new one on the way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've obviously we did the single "Nothing Left to Say" that came out a few weeks ago now, and like the reception for it's been really good. So
it's strong.
We sort of had to say to ourselves, yeah, well, next year we need to get in the studio.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. And festival action, maybe.
Oh yeah, it's always definitely on the cards. You know,
awesome.
We've always got our fingers crossed for stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Download could do with you.
I'd love that. Yeah, that'd be a dream, mate. That'd be fucking wicked.
Yeah, right. So is there anything you can give away about what's coming up, like musically? Like, is there any sort of grand concept or?
No, not really. Just, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's zero comparison musically here, but I remember seeing an interview with Kurt Cobain when I was like really young, and he just said, you know, I just write stuff, you know, in the moment, you know, and we try not to plan too far ahead. Obviously, you know, there's been songs where, I don't know, I've had like a traumatic experience in life, or, you know, someone's fucked me over.
Yeah.
That, you know, I wanna let those feelings out in a healthy way.
Yeah.
You know, so who knows? Who knows what's around the corner?
Absolutely, who knows?
That's the beauty of it for me.
So the thing I always ask everyone at the end of my interviews these days is who you listen to at the moment. Who's on your playlist?
Oh. Well, I don't know. For me, this question.
Any genre.
Oh, it's really tough. It's an hard one because you've got the bands that are part of your education. You know, for me, it's Sabbath, Motorhead. You know, he's a bit of a cock, but Ted Nugent, I think he's musically he's really good, and I grew up listening to him. Always punk playing through my headphones in the van. You know, Exploit, Discharge.
Nice.
Great great band called Extinction of Mankind, who are
Yep.
local to me.
Yeah.
From, like Oldham lads. Yeah, they're really good. Well, then in terms of not metal, I mean, I love the Beatles. You know, I love, you know, that old school rock and roll. Obviously, Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin 2 is always on.
Oh yeah, mate.
It's one of those albums you just go back to.
Timeless.
Yeah. Jar of Flies, Alice in Chains.
Nice.
That's just very nice, you know, for a long drive.
Yeah,
you need... as Nutshell starts playing, I'm just like, yeah, I'm okay now.
It can't all be metal, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Although a lot of it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you, man.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure's all mine, man.
Good luck with the rest of the tour, and I'll be down the front with my camera for tonight, reviewing the show. Check out Devolution magazine. The review will be up soon.
Awesome.
Take care, bud.
And you, man. Thank you.